The strange circumstances that can turn something as small, simple, and ordinary as a single cent into a piece of numismatic treasure worth millions of dollars. And today our entire journey will center around the extraordinary case of the 2001 D. Lincoln cent, a coin struck at the Denver Mint that has been reported in the numismatic world as commanding valuations that soar into the millions of dollars. In fact, into the realm of $3 million for just 1 cent, and when you first hear that statement, your reaction might understandably be shock, skepticism, or sheer amazement, because after all, how could a coin that is mass-produced by the billions in modern times, a coin that almost every single person in America has touched, dropped, spent, or ignored in change at one point or another, somehow become so special that its worth skyrockets into the realm of an entire mansion, a luxury car collection, or a lifetime of earnings? But the secret behind this dramatic transformation lies in the hidden details, the minting process, the unexpected and exceedingly rare errors and mistakes that happen during striking, and the passion of collectors who compete for the rarest varieties and anomalies, driving the price of one humble penny to an unimaginable fortune. So let us begin by breaking down exactly why this single coin from 2001 with a Denver Mint mark, bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, can become something so valuable. And the answer begins with understanding the minting process itself, where every single detail from die preparation, hubbing, striking, alignment, and metal composition plays a role, and where the smallest deviation or accident can create a collectible anomaly, for example doubled dies where the hub strikes twice slightly misaligned. Repunched mint marks where the letter D is punched into the die more than once, off-center strikes where the coin is not aligned within the collar, broad strikes that expand beyond their rim, clips where part of the planchet is missing, die cracks that create raised lines across the coin, cuts where parts of the die break away leaving a blob of metal, wrong planchet errors where a cent is struck on dime stock or foreign coin blanks, transitional errors where the wrong metal composition is used, and all of these possibilities create layers of potential rarity. But in the case of the 2001 D. Lincoln cent, the value skyrockets not from just one error but rather from a confluence of remarkable mistakes that create specimens so unusual that they are unique, or nearly unique. And uniqueness in numismatics is everything because collectors desire pieces no one else can own, fueling fierce bidding wars and auctions and private sales that drive up the price into the millions. And when examining the 2001 D cent, the most legendary and discussed error variety is believed to be one that exhibits an off-metal strike where the coin was struck not on a copper-plated zinc planchet typical of cents minted since 1982, but on a different denomination's blank, such as a Roosevelt dime's copper-nickel planchet, and this creates a coin that has the design of a cent but the color, weight, and size mismatch the expected characteristics. And since mint employees are supposed to catch such dramatic blunders before they escape into circulation, the few that survive are incredibly valuable. Yet that is not the only mistake to consider. Because doubled dies from 2001 are known, and when the doubling affects prominent details like Lincoln's eye, the date, or the inscriptions I in God we trust, liberty, and the mint mark itself, collectors go into frenzy because dramatic visible doubling without magnification is the most sought after, and on some 2001 D cents such doubling has been reported, making them a category of their own. While other specimens show repunched mint marks where the Denver D appears shifted, shadowed, or punched over itself multiple times, a leftover phenomenon from earlier minting practices that still created collectible anomalies even in 2001. And then there are broad strikes that expand the cent's diameter, off-center strikes where Lincoln's portrait is cut off dramatically leaving blank crescent-shaped areas, and double denomination strikes where a cent design is struck over an already minted dime or other coin. A spectacular accident producing two designs on one planchet, and it is these jaw-dropping combinations that transform a simple cent into a prize that collectors describe as once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. And when word spread in auction houses, numismatic journals, and collector communities that one of these 2001 D cents had sold for upward of $3 million, the story captured the imagination of the public who suddenly rushed to check their jars, drawers, piggy banks, and pockets for the possibility of holding one of these astonishing error cents, and this surge of interest has kept the legend alive, making the 2001 Lincoln cent one of the most talked about modern rarities. But to truly appreciate why it matters, we must go deeper into the possibilities of errors and how they occur in detail. So let us consider die clashes, a phenomenon where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, imprinting ghostly images from one side onto the other, and when this happens the resulting coin shows strange mirrored outlines such as Lincoln's profile appearing faintly on the reverse or parts of the memorial columns ghosting on the obverse, and when dramatic enough these clash marks can fetch high premiums, and in 2001 Denver minted billions of cents, so any surviving clash errors that escaped into circulation without being polished away become rarities. Then think about die breaks, the tiny fractures in dies that lengthen into cracks, sometimes reaching dramatic size, and eventually forming cuds where pieces of the die completely break off, leaving featureless blobs of metal on the coin's surface. And collectors love cuds because they are dramatic, unique, and easily visible, and a 2001 D with a full cud covering part of Lincoln's head or the memorial roof would be extraordinary. Then consider planchet preparation errors, where improper alloy mix causes improper color, streaky surfaces, or even split plating, since post-1982 cents are copper-plated zinc, meaning a thin layer of copper over a zinc core, and if the copper fails to adhere properly it can bubble, peel, or expose zinc beneath, creating rare collectible pieces, and when you combine such an error with striking errors the result is phenomenal. And beyond these technical factors there is also the human fascination with rarity. With the idea of a small ordinary coin escaping the mint with a monumental flaw and entering circulation to hide among billions of ordinary pieces until someone sharp-eyed discovers it, and this treasure hunt dynamic makes the story of the 2001 D cent so engaging, because it is not merely about the coin itself but about the chance that anyone could stumble upon it, and stories circulate of lucky individuals finding rare errors in change, in bank rolls, or inherited jars of coins from relatives, sparking dreams of discovering a multimillion-dollar cent. And indeed the 2001 D cent, valued at $3 million, achieved its notoriety because of such a discovery, surfacing after being overlooked and then authenticated by top grading companies like PCGS or NGC, which confirmed its legitimacy and assigned a grade reflecting both its condition and the error variety, cementing its place as one of the great modern rarities. And the price was driven higher still by collectors who compete for registry sets and unique error coins, knowing that once such a specimen is sold it may disappear into private collections for decades, perhaps forever, making the opportunity to buy one essentially once in a generation. And so the confluence of rarity, condition, error type, collector demand, and the sheer shock value of a 1-cent coin commanding a price tag of $3 million fuels the story we discussed today. And yet the fascination goes even deeper when we reflect on how such errors slip past the mint's quality control, because modern minting is heavily automated, inspected, and designed to prevent exactly such blunders, meaning that when they do happen they are even more incredible. And the idea that one coin could survive the gauntlet of mint processes, packaging, distribution, circulation, and still be found intact with its dramatic error preserved is nothing short of miraculous, making each specimen not just a minting accident but a survivor, a piece of history that tells the story of chance, imperfection, and human curiosity. And when you hold such a coin in your hand you are not simply holding a cent, you are holding a story of how the ordinary became extraordinary, how mass production met human error in the rarest way possible, and how collectors transformed that mistake into a million-dollar treasure. Welcome once again as we continue this fascinating journey into the incredible world of rare coins and hidden treasures, where something as small and overlooked as a modern United States 1-cent piece can capture the attention of collectors worldwide and command prices that defy logic. And today the focus shifts from the 2001 D cent that stunned the world with its $3 million valuation to another remarkable story from the very next year, the 2002 Lincoln cent, which under the right circumstances of minting errors, die mistakes, an extraordinary survival has been reported to fetch as much as $2 million, and at first glance you might think that this is simply another ordinary penny, copper-plated zinc with the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Produced by the billions at the Philadelphia and Denver mints during a time when cents were still being churned out in massive numbers. But what transforms a single 2002 cent into an object of multimillion-dollar desire is once again the rare confluence of factors that make certain specimens not just uncommon but truly unique, and uniqueness in numismatics cannot be overstated because it is the heartbeat of value, the reason collectors compete furiously in auctions and private transactions for the one piece that no one else can own. And with the 2002 cent, this uniqueness often stems from extraordinary striking errors such as double denomination strikes where a cent is accidentally struck over an existing dime or other coin, producing ghostly overlapping designs that defy expectation, and such a blunder is so rare in modern automated minting that its survival is a marvel. Or from off-metal strikes where instead of being struck on a copper-plated zinc blank the design is mistakenly impressed onto a foreign planchet, or a leftover blank of a different denomination, such as a cent struck on a golden Sacagawea dollar planchet, or a Roosevelt dime blank, producing a coin that has mismatched size, color, or weight yet clearly bears the design of a cent, and when authenticated by grading companies such as PCGS or NGC these coins achieve legendary status. And then there are doubled dies where the hubbing process creates doubled lettering, doubled dates, or even doubled profiles of Lincoln that can be seen with the naked eye. And collectors adore dramatic doubled dies because they represent a clear departure from the norm and showcase the imperfections of minting technology, and a 2002 doubled die with dramatic visible doubling can therefore command extraordinary prices, and similarly repunched mint marks from Denver specimens where the D shows shadowing or multiple impressions, off-center strikes where Lincoln's head or the memorial is cut off leaving large blank areas, broad strikes that expand the coin's diameter, and cuds where die breaks leave raised metal blobs on the coin all contribute to the growing catalog of collectible anomalies from this year. But beyond the technical explanations lies the narrative that captivates collectors and casual enthusiasts alike, the story that somewhere in circulation there could be a coin that looks slightly odd, feels a little different, or shows something unusual under a magnifying glass, and that tiny detail might mean the difference between 1 cent and $2 million. And it is this dream of discovery that makes the 2002 cent so exciting, because while billions of ordinary examples exist, the knowledge that even a handful of extraordinary ones are out there transforms every coin jar, every handful of change, and every bankroll into a potential treasure chest, and reports of such coins being discovered in everyday circulation or tucked away in private collections add fuel to the fire, making the hunt for 2002 errors a phenomenon in its own right. And the $2 million figure attached to one extraordinary 2002 error cent shocked the numismatic community not only because of the sheer dollar amount but also because of the fact that a modern cent from just 2 decades ago, an era not associated with great rarity, could reach such heights. And this is where the psychology of collecting plays a role because collectors love stories of the impossible, they love the irony of something mass-produced achieving rarity through imperfection. They love the drama of competition at auction where wealthy bidders vie for a unique specimen. And they love the inspiration it gives to ordinary people who suddenly start paying attention to the coins in their pocket. And when you layer in the prestige of ownership, the desire to hold something no one else has, the pride of adding a unique $2 million cent to a world-class collection, you understand why the price can reach those levels. And just as with the 2001 cent, the 2002 cent's legend grows every time a new discovery or sale is reported, every time a collector finds an odd error and wonders if it might be the next big treasure, and every time the story is shared across YouTube channels, news outlets, or coin forums, because it taps into something deep and universal, the belief that hidden treasures still exist in the modern world, that the extraordinary can be found among the ordinary, and that even the smallest overlooked coin can become a gateway to history, wealth, and wonder. And so the 2002 Lincoln cent stands today as another shining example of how mint errors, human imperfection, and collector passion combine to elevate a simple penny into a multi-million-dollar legend, one that keeps people searching, dreaming, and marveling at the power of rarity. The story of the 2005D begins with what should have been an ordinary copper-plated zinc coin worth just a single cent but becomes instead a legendary piece of numismatic history when unusual mistakes occur during the minting process. Mistakes that in ordinary production are caught and destroyed but on the rarest occasions escape into circulation and survive long enough to be discovered, authenticated, and coveted. And with the 2005D cent, the most valuable errors reported have included double denomination strikes where the cent was mistakenly struck over another coin such as a Roosevelt dime or a Jefferson nickel, creating a bizarre and mesmerizing combination of designs where Lincoln's profile collides with elements of another denomination. And such a coin is not only visually stunning but incredibly rare, because modern minting equipment is designed to prevent these types of accidents, making survivors unique, or nearly unique, and uniqueness is precisely what collectors will pay millions for. And in other cases, the 2005D cent is known to exist with off-metal strikes where instead of being struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet it was struck on an incorrect blank such as a foreign coin or a leftover planchet of a different U.S. denomination, resulting in dramatic differences in weight, diameter, or color that immediately mark the coin as special. And these off-metal errors are highly desirable because they show in unmistakable fashion how even the most precise machinery can still falter, while other notable 2005D errors include doubled dies where inscriptions such as "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date 2005 show visible doubling, creating a dramatic collectible variety, and repunched mint marks where the Denver D appears to have been punched twice or shifted. A reminder of older minting practices that still produced collectible anomalies even in the modern era. And then there are the off-center strikes where Lincoln's portrait is misaligned, sometimes leaving huge crescent-shaped blank areas on the coin, and broad strikes that expand the size of the cent because it was struck outside the retaining collar, and die clashes where ghostly images of one side appear faintly on the other due to dies striking without a planchet in between, and die breaks that result in raised lines or cuts where chunks of the die have fallen away, leaving featureless blobs of metal on the coin's surface. And when dramatic enough, these types of errors can capture collectors' imaginations, but what sets the 2005D cent apart and pushes its value into the realm of $2 million is not simply the presence of an error but the extreme rarity, dramatic visibility, and often the combination of multiple errors on one coin, which makes the specimen one of a kind. And when authenticated and graded at the highest levels by services such as PCGS or NGC, these coins become trophies, sought after by elite collectors who are willing to spend millions to secure them, because they know that once such a coin enters a private collection it may not resurface for generations, and that exclusivity adds to the allure and the price. And beyond the technical side of minting errors, the 2005D cent valued at $2 million has become a legend because it symbolizes the unexpected, the possibility that a simple coin found in pocket change could hold life-changing value. And stories of lucky individuals discovering rare 2005D error cents in circulation fuel the imagination of millions who now check their pennies more closely, hoping to find the next multi-million-dollar treasure, and this sense of possibility drives the popularity of coin collecting, creating a bridge between the everyday world and the extraordinary. Because the truth is that out of billions of 2005D cents minted, only a handful, if not just one, might display the kind of dramatic and undeniable error that makes it worth $2 million, but that handful is enough to keep the dream alive. And so once again we see how the interplay of minting imperfection, survival against all odds, authentication, collector's psychology, and the thrill of rarity combined to elevate a humble 2005D Lincoln cent into one of the most astonishing and valuable modern coins ever known, reminding us that treasure truly can be hiding in plain sight. And this time our spotlight shines on the 2015D Lincoln cent, a coin struck at the Denver Mint that in its normal form is just another copper-plated zinc penny among billions produced, but in rare and extraordinary circumstances has proven to be worth as much as $1 million. And what elevates this seemingly ordinary cent into the stratosphere of value is once again the rare phenomenon of minting errors, the small but spectacular mistakes that occur during production and transform a single coin into a unique collectible. And when we talk about the 2015 D-cent, we are talking about a modern piece of coinage produced with cutting-edge machinery and quality control, which makes the presence of dramatic errors even more incredible, because the mint strives harder than ever to eliminate mistakes, meaning that those few which do survive are rarer than ever before, and collectors know that rarity, combined with condition, visibility of the error, and provenance, drives value into the millions. So let us look closely at the possibilities that have made the 2015 D-cent a legend, beginning with off-metal strikes where the coin was accidentally struck on the wrong planchet, perhaps a foreign coin blank or a leftover US denomination such as a dime or nickel planchet, and when this occurs the cent shows the wrong weight, wrong color, and often incomplete design since the blank is too small, creating a spectacular rarity that collectors dream of. And then there are double denomination strikes where a cent design is struck on top of another already minted coin, creating overlapping images that look like a bizarre fusion of two denominations, something so rare that any genuine example instantly becomes one of a kind and therefore extremely valuable. And then there are doubled dies where the hubbing process left visible doubling in the inscriptions such as Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date 2015, and dramatic doubling is always in high demand because it is immediately visible even without magnification and demonstrates in vivid form the fallibility of minting, while other potential error categories include die clashes where the dies strike each other without a blank and leave ghostly outlines of one design on the opposite side, die cracks and cuts where parts of the die break leaving raised metal blobs or cracks across the coin's surface, off-center strikes where Lincoln's portrait is shifted and large blank crescents of the planchet remain, broad strikes where the coin is pressed outside the collar and expands in diameter, and even defective plating errors where the thin copper layer peels or bubbles over the zinc core, creating strange textures and dramatic appearances that catch collectors' eyes. And in the specific case of the 2015 D-cent valued at $1 million, it is believed that the specimen combined not just one but multiple dramatic anomalies, making it virtually unique, and once graded and authenticated by PCGS or NGC, collectors recognized it as the only known example of its type, creating a frenzy of interest and driving the price to $1 million. And while some may find it incredible that a modern coin from only 2015 could achieve such a valuation, it makes sense when you realize that modern errors are much scarcer than older ones due to improved technology and minting procedures. So when they do occur and escape into the hands of collectors, they represent not only a dramatic mistake but a miracle of survival, and beyond the technical aspects lies the human fascination with discovery, because the story of the 2015 D-cent worth $1 million once again reminds us that treasures can hide in plain sight, that a coin sitting in a jar of change or slipped into circulation can contain unimaginable value, and that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon such a fortune simply by paying attention. And that possibility fuels both serious numismatists and casual enthusiasts, drawing people into the world of coin collecting and keeping the hunt alive, because every single 2015 D-cent examined carries with it the faint possibility of being extraordinary, and that possibility is enough to excite the imagination, inspire careful searching, and remind us that even the smallest, most ordinary objects can sometimes become legendary.